Welcome to the Behind the Bits podcast. Your host, Scott Curtis, wants to learn everything he can about stand-up comedy and take you along for the ride. Scott and his guests talk serious about comedy in every episode. Behind the Bits will uncover knowledge from different perspectives on subjects such as writing and performing stand-up comedy, as well as booking shows and the comedy life. If you're thinking about becoming a stand-up comic, already in the comic game, or a comedy nerd, Behind the Bits is the show for you. Now, let's get Behind the Bits.
Hi, and welcome back to the Behind the Bits podcast. This is a special episode concerning the coronavirus and its effects on the stand-up community. This is an important discussion about cash flow, retaining audiences, and maintaining creativity. Please share this one with your stand-up community friends, and also comment with your ideas on the Behind the Bits Facebook page, which can be found just by typing Behind the Bits in the Facebook search bar. Or on Twitter, I'm at the BTB PC, or you can shoot me an email at scott@thebtbpc. I did start recording about a minute late, so I cut off Max Tidy, who was introducing himself. In this call, we had Max Tidy, Brian Collins, Heather O'Laughlin, Joel Byers, Dot Kennedy, Krish Mohan, Johnny Watson, Will Brand, and Jim Bryan. We feel like this is an important discussion, and I know people are having it yourselves, so if we can all get together and come up with a plan and things that will help us get through this, it will be a big thing. So this is something that you can share and share the ideas and also add more ideas to it. Thank you for listening.
My comedy in South Bend, Indiana. I'm a manager at the Drop Comedy Club. I also produce several shows locally in Michigan and Indiana. And yeah, it sucks. It's been affecting our open mic and whatnot. Do you want me to go on from there, Scott?
Anything you want to add? I mean, we're gonna get in a general discussion here pretty quick. But
okay. Well, yeah, it sucks. So in our area, we only have one open mic a week. So the idea that you're waiting all week for 7 minutes sucks as it is. We have weekend shows at the Drop, and I fortunately do stuff there. But like I was telling Scott before the podcast, it's like I go for the 10,000 hours mentality, especially because we don't have that many mics in our area. So then just thinking about losing that much time, like this is just driving me crazy. Yeah. So.
Thanks, Max. Krish, talk to me.
Yeah, I'm a full-time touring comedian, so I tour roughly between 40 and 45 weeks out of the year. And a lot of the rooms that I play are pretty small. They're smaller. They're either smaller independently owned comedy clubs or little black box theaters or DIY venues like punky little rooms, stuff like that. And I do like more socio-political commentary, storytelling type of comedy. And I also produce a couple different podcasts that go up, on it as an audio format, and as a video format. So I'm a DIY comedian. I tour like a punk rock band. As of Sunday, I have officially lost 3 weeks worth of work.
Wow.
So, which most of them are the dates that I was going to record my next album. So it's on to plan B in trying to figure out what I'm going to do in terms of releasing this album. Because at this point, there's a lot of baggage that's associated with this material, and I'm ready to kind of be done and move on with it. So. Right now, I'm trying to focus more on creating more content for the podcast and the video stuff that I do, and hopefully push my Patreon a little bit more and figure out other ways of like sustaining memberships online.
Okay, great. Thank you, Krish.
Yeah.
Doc, talk to me.
Yeah, I'm Dot Kennedy, comedian in Nashville, Tennessee, and you guys probably heard about tornadoes that hit here 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely lost income myself, but the biggest bummer for me was I had a couple of shows and one big one scheduled as a fundraiser for the victims of the tornadoes.
Oh.
And that's all been wiped out. So yeah, we're all getting hit, but what I'm very optimistic about the future. And, just hearing you guys talk, really, it doesn't bring me down. It makes me excited about what can be, what will be. Because with being a stand-up comic, one that takes it serious, you have to have an entrepreneurial spirit too.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to, figure out different things that work, different ways that work. I'm just excited about what will be.
Right. Great. Thanks, Doc. Hey, Joel.
Hey, Scott. So thanks for having us and thanks for doing this. First off, I think will be super beneficial to people in and out of comedy. My specific situation, I've been doing comedy a little over 10 years. I'm on the road a lot as well. I've had, I had people in April start canceling today. So, wow. Definitely at least the next 2 months, I'm completely out of work, but I've been using the time so far to really focus on my podcast and really getting more organized with my YouTube. So I'm still using the time productively, but it's not paying productively. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely going to be planning to do an online course as well while all this is going on. And it's just kind of like figuring out as we go along. It's interesting, but exciting time just for all of us comedians to get out of our comfort zone and really make things happen.
Right. Right. Thank you. Hey, Johnny.
Hey, my friend. How are you?
Great. I love your mic.
What's that?
I love your mic.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. It's not bad. makes you sound like a phone sex operator.
Yeah.
No, listen, it's good to be here. I'm Johnny Watson. I'm a full-time comedian. Been doing this for 17 years and full-time. I've lost everything. And the way things are going, it looks like I do a summer gig in Delaware, which is 6 nights a week for the whole summer.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about canceling that. And, I did a show Saturday night or Friday night, Saturday night in West Virginia, the only place I think they don't have the coronavirus. And, that was exciting. And there was supposed to be 200 people there and there's like 19 showed up. So, but they didn't have it. So that's good. But, it's, me and my wife were just tallying up the amount of money that I've lost in the last, I'm going to lose. Mm-hmm. And, actually too, I'm staying here. I'm from Jersey originally, but I'm staying in Louisville, Kentucky. And, we were supposed to actually go to the Derby. We got tickets, guys inviting us to the Derby. Yeah. So, we may lose out on a lot of things, but yeah, it's been like everybody else, it's been a rough go, but, I'm sorry, I forgot. One person said that, Joel said, time to up your podcast game and up all the other stuff. Me and my mother, we have a podcast we've done for a long time, and then we took a break, but we're bringing that back out. And I'm a little fortunate that my wife is a marketing professor, so she's pulling out the stops to make sure all this stuff starts getting at the top of the list. And but I like the fact we're doing this because we get to meet new people and, come together. Even though it's a lot of comics in this country, it's still a small community, and it's nice to meet new people, and everybody should help each other out.
Right.
So whatever I can do for anybody, please feel free to hit me up.
Great. Thanks, Johnny. I appreciate it. Hey, Jim, talk to me.
How you doing? Name's Jim Bryan. I'm up in Pennsylvania, comic, also owner of Church of Satire Comedy Club in Hanover, Pennsylvania. So, I've had pretty much like my entire revenue stream just sort of dried up over a matter of 72 hours. So I had to close the club just because it was the right thing to do, and gigs here locally, I rely on those gigs as a means to sort of, I use my gig money to pay my comedians coming in. I'm a small operation, so it's just kind of scary times because I have like a lot of little kids, and my wife's work is dried up. She works in healthcare, doing bit work. So like her client base is dried up. They don't want anybody going out into communities and stuff. So we went from being able to take care of things to not being able to take care of things in a matter of like, a couple sunrises and sunsets, just like that. So just trying to wrap my head around things, to be honest with you, just like everybody else.
Well, thanks, Jim. Brian, what's up?
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Scott? Brian Collins. I'm from Osceola, Indiana. Like Max, I do most of my work out of South Bend. As a manager at the Drop, we also run literally a DIY comedy. We put on shows and all that, and we've had we're looking at shows later in the year, but we always build small ones up to a big show, and that's pretty much out at this point. And then I'd been lucky enough that I finally started to book a couple shows for cash, and I was like, oh man, I'm on a mini run, and it turns out I am not. So that is always a bummer, and just the future's uncertain. But we're going to take on a couple things. Like tomorrow, we're going to do a live open mic from basically somebody's living room with just like 3 or 4 of us that we know, and live stream that out and hopefully just keep entertaining that way. But that's kind of what we got on the books.
Yeah, I think Brian and Max, first of all, they work together and I know them, and they're a little bit humble about what they've done. They've both put together some pretty fantastic shows. We're a very small market here in the South Bend, Lower Michigan area, and I know that both of them have done sold out plus shows here, and they were getting ready to do more, and I know this has affected them quite a bit.
Yeah, that's the scary thing too, is about like producing this. Now you're thinking about that and the venues, if they're still going to want to back you after you have to cancel these shows, and then thinking about your performers, like, are they not going to do this? Now you have to fill in those headlining spots or anything else like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like full circle in the sense of like trying to get time doing comedy, getting booked other places, and then worrying about your own shows.
Right. And I do have to come completely clean and let everybody know that stand-up comedy is in no way a revenue source for me. So I've been paid a few times, but I've got a full-time job, and that's paid the bills for. I've been at the same place for almost 15 years now, so it's not affecting me at all. Now it may be affecting me.
Stop bragging.
Okay, is that why you
bragging?
Not just to rub it in,
Mr. Moneybags.
Oh my gosh!
I'm a long way from money bags, but the reason I did this is because I see how it's affecting everybody else. So it's not. I'm not. I don't want to brag about having a job, but
I had a show Thursday night. Friday night I was supposed to do a show at a country club. Thursday night, tried to find out what the numbers were, what was going to go on, and the guy, it was sold out. It was like 100 people, small 100 people. It was sold out on Thursday night. By Friday, I think 11 a.m. it was 15 people. That many people canceled. So then I went over to the after that got canceled, I went over to the Caravan Comedy Club, and which normally does really well, and they had 4 people. And so it's amazing how in a short amount of time that things have just really kind of dried up.
It's it's really turned on its head really quickly.
Kind of happened overnight more than anything, is what it kind of seems like. Because Wednesday night, everybody was kind of fine and joking around about, what it was. And everybody had kind of heard about it in the periphery of things. But all of a sudden it was like something happened on Thursday morning, and I have no idea what it was. But I woke up Thursday morning and a bunch of people were talking to me about canceling shows. And I was like, what is happening? Like this, it doesn't what happened overnight that I missed, that
the NBA canceled, man. Is that it? When sports started canceling, that cascade effect, like Thursday, I do the bulk of my ticket sales. Wednesday PM into Thursday, grinded to an absolute halt, and it never recovered after that. And I think when that's the only thing that I can put my finger on that changed, because you're right, Krish, like it just all of a sudden it was like, what the hell happened, man? Like there's no toilet paper. Like what in the world just happened? Like where it's just, I point to that moment where them sports, each league started to like one after another cancel things. And I just think that
for the sports though, on the sport, I just found this out too, that and maybe you guys knew already, they're completely covered with insurance. They're not losing a dime.
Sure.
So they're going to cancel, even just to look good. They're going to cancel. If I was the XFL though, I would have kept playing. Now that's talk about the only game in town. That would have been great to give them some publicity, but sports, like you said, canceling once sports starts canceling, and that's it, man.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I know there were some stories coming out where all the arena employees that weren't going to be can't afford to pay them or anything, so they were just like, we're not going to pay you. And I think some of the athletes said,
some of them did,
which is kind of cool. That's kind of nice. And that's kind of the interesting thing is like now it's just up to us to take care of each other. Like it's come down to that point where like it doesn't matter what your political affiliation is or whatever. It's like you have to take care of your community and you have to take care of your neighbors. And that's kind of what it's come down to. And this morning, what was really cool is, I mean, I got lucky in the sense that I'm not a big drinker in terms of, being like, I don't drink very much. I don't go out very much. Like I'm kind of a homebody. So I think I got lucky with having a series of really good shows at really good venues that like wanted to promote them and bring people out and made enough money on this tour and didn't hit any sort of snags that I have a little bit of a buffer zone, but I have no idea how long that buffer is going to last me. And I still have bills that I have to pay with no income coming in, and I, not knowing how long this thing is going to last. The rest of it is basically, okay, what do we do? And I'm already seeing like Pittsburgh has a bunch of arts grants, and some folks started a GoFundMe within the community, specifically to help Pittsburgh artists. And they were like, well, we can't give you more than like a couple $100, but it's still like any little bit at this point is huge. Right. And it's just cool to see kind of the community rallying around and coming together to like help people in that way.
I also saw one popped up, and it was arts in general, but they did a GoFundMe and they had raised, I think, $93,000 of their $100,000 goal, and it's basically a $250 give. Based on you just fill out a quick Google Docs form, and they'll send you $250 as long as they have it. So that's some really cool stuff. I also have a Facebook friend that lives out in Denver, and her landlord actually knew what she was up against and said that her rent is cut in half for the foreseeable future. So there's some cool stuff happening.
Yeah, I saw a comic do like an Instagram live show where he was taking donations, doing like a comedy show and like roasting people on Instagram. I don't know how successful it was, but that was the first time I saw someone trying to get a little more innovative with still, if your skill set's entertaining a room of people, how can you do that from afar? And that was my first seeing people actually testing the waters on maybe there's just like a donation-based show that can be done online, something like we're doing here, but it's like a lineup of comedians could be a possible way to drum up some income.
Right. Yeah. I actually had a guy here that runs a marketing firm offer to do this for musicians, and I grabbed him and I said, "Hey, how about comics?" And he said, "Yeah, I'd love to have you on." I said, "Well, I don't need to be on, but I know people who do." And it's actually Vala Marketing here in Elkhart, Indiana, and South Bend, Indiana. They're going to be putting something together in the next couple days, and I'm going to be steering people their way so that they can do. It's basically they're going to run a tip jar and spread it equally among people. And I think that's great, because if you're doing it for the musicians, you might as well do it for the comics too.
Yeah. That's great. Well, that's what I did. I put on Facebook. I made a flyer, and it says "No Fear Here" comedy. So I'm actually plugging for home shows. So like 8 to 10 people, like they're saying, and do a tip jar. And there's some signs of life there. People are going to get really antsy really quick, and going to need to liven things up. So just looking for opportunity where we can, like you guys are talking about.
Yeah, I don't think Ozark comes out for another 10 days, so I'm going to start freaking out here pretty quick.
I heard that they're doing something. Maybe you guys heard too. And we're considered a gig industry, and they're going to be passing something to where, and I don't know how they're going to figure out how much you assume that you make or whatever, but they're going to start giving people money, like gig workers, like servers and our type of industry. So there's probably going to be some type of compensation on that, because they were talking about if people don't get money, then the economy could really collapse. So they're more willing to even give money while people are out of work. So
Right.
Kelsey Gabbard put out an emergency UBI. I'm a big fan of hers. But she put out a bill to put out an emergency UBI and just say, let's just do what Andrew Yang's been talking about for the last 9 months, and let's just do it for however long this emergency lasts, and give basically every American citizen $1,000 a month. We just bailed out Wall Street for $1.5 trillion. I'm pretty sure we can cover the rest of the people, and it's fine. We'll be okay. If you can make up money for Wall Street, you can make up money for people. It's sort of the kind of the point that she was making. And I think they went to an emergency vote over the weekend, but I have not seen any stories about what happened in regards to that. A lot of it has just kind of been like, hey, we're shutting down restaurants and don't go outside and that sort of stuff. But you're right. If it's sort of the cyclical thing of once you start shutting down what we do, and by we, I mean just like anybody in the working class world of like servers and, if they're affected, if the bottom is affected, then it starts, you've essentially lost your base, you've lost your foundation.
Right.
And once you start crumbling your foundation, the rest of it's just going to topple. How long? I mean, the CEOs of Walmart and stuff are going to be fine for quite some time, but they like to make more money than they have. So if nobody's going to Target to buy stuff, then they're going to have to do something to be like, give people money so that they can spend it. So I do think that it's going to start veering into that direction pretty soon.
Don't nobody go to Target, Chris. Do you shop at Target, Chris?
My mom works at Target, Jim.
Nobody goes to Target.
Listen, I have a money-making idea right now, just with us. I say we get a couple more people and make a calendar for us.
Oh,
A comedian's calendar.
A comedian calendar. Why not? Those, the sexy men of comedy.
Oh man,
I want April.
Another 2 months, you'll be able to see my rib cage in
There it is.
Oh man. Hey Scott, you mind if I ask a question real quick?
Go for it.
I'm kind of curious. I'm not trying to commandeer your story or your show, but
this is your show, folks.
Now it's our show.
Yeah.
The people's show. It's the people's show.
Hey, everything I talked about before was not on air, so don't worry about it.
Okay, good. I'll let you hit record now, Scott.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, how far out is the furthest gig that you've had canceled so far? For me, it was July 10th.
For me, it's the summer, September. So
September.
We'll
Wow.
We'll see. I mean, I hope not.
Well, yeah,
But they said today, the governor, was the president, didn't he say today? I don't know if you saw the news conference. He said you're looking until July at least before anything gets going. And then he said it could be longer. So I don't know.
be shorter too.
Yeah, I don't think they really
be
have
right in the middle.
a real understanding of like what is happening.
Yeah.
Or what they're doing. They're right now in the planning phases of trying to figure out how they're going to test people and figure out the spread of this thing. So they're going to come out and say something just to kind of pacify the masses a little bit more. But yeah, who knows?
It's all speculation.
Yes,
it's all speculation. So I mean, for I have a gig in May that was like, hey, we don't know if this is confirmed or canceled. So right now, just keep the date for when it is. And it's sort of like day by day at this point. Which kind of sucks and is very unnerving.
There's a couple places still trying to do it though. Like there are some places that are trying. I'm booked for a weekend after next at the Caravan, and they're trying to keep the date. But even who knows? Like you said, who knows?
Yeah,
that's selfish. To if you have a show, like I have a show May 1st, and I see my headliner posts about all of his gigs getting canceled and everything else like that. So I was like thinking like, oh, like he's probably going to be down to still do the show, but we've sold out with 150 every time. Do you think that's selfish and unsafe of like to try to keep going with the show? Because I'm feeling super conflicted right now with everybody talking about having a house show or anything else like that. It's like, is that something I should really be like trying to think about now? Or
at May 1st, that would be. You have to be hopeful. Yeah. So how do you not be hopeful if you're not planning forward?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
I would not think about canceling that until like 2 days prior.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, from where you're pulling from, it's not going to affect anybody's life because you're pulling from a pretty local area there, from maybe an hour from Three Oaks there. So yeah, I think you're fine.
Yeah, I hope it goes for you, man. I really do. That'd be great for everybody.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing, is that's why I didn't want to say that I was going to cancel all the dates into May, is just kind of keep tabs on stuff. You have somebody from the governor of Ohio was like, till the middle of May, we're going to keep all the restaurants shut down, restaurants and bars shut down. But I don't know how long that's going to last. Like everything seems so hyper reactionary, and mostly because like I really don't think we know what this thing is, how far it's spread, because like they had an opportunity to I just yelled about this in my car and released it, but my point is we just weren't completely prepared for it, and now it's sort of like the panic alarms have rang, and everything is happening very quickly, and I think by the middle of this week things are going to kind of stabilize and we're going to slow things down, and once people start thinking with a little bit more clarity, we'll start to get more concrete answers, because now you have somebody saying, well, till the middle of May we're going to be shut down, and then it's like, oh well, it's going to take till July, but not really. It's going to take till like the second week of April. So I mean, these are such widespread responses. Yeah. It just seems like we're kind of throwing some shit out and hoping something happens.
I think they'll find the antidote in one of those dirty microphones that we use. Pass that around.
That's where the immunity
Everybody will be immune. The whole world will be immune.
Yeah.
Well,
I know there's a lot of comics watching. I mean, do we have any ideas or solutions? We kind of threw around a few like online shows that are donation based, but I feel like we could really come up with something that we may be able to leave here with and inspire comics to actually do.
Mm-hmm. I think I would go the office route and do a showcase and just have it broadcast. You can do something where you have a broadcast with the Patreon or some sort of link like that. And, you can do it as a, testing out.
Because not everybody's
whatever,
affected.
But
you could get people together. And like, I know there's a group of guys around here. They're going to do, in fact, they're going to try to do it tonight. When I understand, they're going to try to do like a mic or something, but each one from their house, they're going to try to, do FaceTiming or whatever. So, I mean, you could probably get a bunch of guys together in a room and actually do a show, but like you said, broadcast it live.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do at the club. I mean, we've been going for long enough that like we got a series of, a whole community that now likes to come to comedy. So I think I'm probably just going to take I'm going to look at it as an opportunity to I'm already trapped. I'm sitting in my fucking van right now because I'm hiding from my kids. You know what I mean? So I think I'm just going to use it as an opportunity to staycation with my family for and kind of let people be like, man, I wish the club was open. And then I might start locally reaching out to some comedians during the time that I've canceled the club and just be like, you know what, man, let's just set up the Mevo. I used to live stream shows a few years ago that did really well, but we didn't make any money, but I also didn't try and solicit money either. So I'm just going to shake the tree and see what falls out. As of now, I'm not making $1. So, I mean, heck, what's the difference? We got to try something. People like stand up. And if we go away for too long, some other, who knows, online live streaming body piercing might become popular and then we're all screwed.
But in times like this, people need laughs. And
I feel you. Yeah,
we have the upper hand.
Yeah. I mean, this is,
well, you've never seen me perform. So
Hey, we've got a new participant here. It's Heather from the Drop Comedy Club. We want to get a perspective from somebody who is a club owner. Heather, can you please introduce yourself? And what we're doing is telling how this has affected us so far.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody. I'm Heather O'Loughlin, co-owner of the Drop Comedy Club. I also am a special education teacher for School City of Mishawaka. And right now, we just got the news that we have to close all restaurants and bars. So the Drop has canceled 2 weekend shows and 2 of our open mics so far.
Sucks.
All right.
Sorry about that.
I was waiting when there'd be a lady on this show. It looked like all the show flyers I see.
It really does right now, doesn't it?
There's a bunch of white guys and Krish. What's up, Krish?
Minority ticket down. I'm holding it down.
Oh, geez.
One thing I wanted to make a point of is these virtual shows. When you're doing the virtual tip jar type thing, I don't know if it's going to hit the first time that you do it, but I don't think it's something that you should give up on. I think that it may take a little bit to get that rolling, but if you do the first time, it may gain some headway, and then just keep doing that, because it takes a while for people to get used to a different format. And I think that, in the long run, that could help everybody.
Well, what's everybody's thoughts on how to operate that tip jar? I'm sorry, I walked over somebody. I apologize. I was asking, what are you guys' thoughts in terms of how to operate that virtual tip jar?
You could put a PayPal link.
Anything with like a Venmo too?
Yeah, like you could set up a couple of links that people could just donate right into. Yeah, and if you're using Mevo, and if you have any of those online broadcasting stuff, like I'm not a super big expert on everything, but I do know that you can orient the screen. So like Venmo and Cash App and stuff, they have a QR code where if you just scan that by using the app, it'll take you directly to like your club's page or your page or wherever. So like PayPal's really easy, Venmo's really easy. So there's a couple and it's just a matter of like setting up the link and grabbing the little QR code. I just had to do a bunch of that for updating my website so that people knew where they could where they can at least send some donations, and it's all like on one page. Because you have a bunch of people like that don't trust Patreon or they don't trust Venmo or whatever it is. So having those various options is definitely.
I just want to make it easy, easy as possible, so that they can watch it and like touch their phone, and so that they don't have to tune out in order to tune back in.
Right.
I just try to make it as user friendly as possible.
The interesting thing is that we're all talking about this, and if you it's weird because if you talk to the guys, the guys who did who did comedy back in the boom, it's basically it ended because. It went bust because everybody started watching comedy on television,
sure,
and everything else, and that's almost like what we're doing. Just hope that they don't get lazy and decide not to come back out. So
that's a really good point.
Either. Yeah, it's like what do you do? What do you do? It's like, do we want to make them since we're not around to all of a sudden want us, because you think about once this thing gets done, people are going to be climbing over each other to get out and do things, and
for sure.
And people like Heather, it'd be great that your club gets where you got to turn people away. That'd be awesome. Yeah. And it's like I don't know the solution. I don't know, but I just hope that people don't get comfortable and go, that's what watch it on screen.
Scott and I were talking earlier about how every comic should be coming back whenever this is all over. They should be coming back better than ever before. Because you're writing during this stretch and you're working out material however you can. But you should have loads of new material, and just working on what you can.
Well, I got a great Spanish flu joke if anybody wants it. I'll say it.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm going to have to update my shaken baby jokes to like shaken elementary school kid jokes because they're overrunning me like locusts. This is the first day, dude.
I thought maybe your kids were sick. That was why you're hiding in the car.
Nah, I'm just hiding in the car because they're outside of it.
No, he's just a good father. That's all.
It's very tough.
There they are.
Oh, look at that. It's very tough for comics to spend time with the people that are actually in their life. So I understand that.
Behind glass, you know.
We're not people. That's for sure. Oh, man.
I did have somebody in the medical profession give me a couple hints. And while I've got the mic, this is brought to you by the Behind the Bits podcast, which is available on all your podcast apps. All you got to do is type in Behind the Bits. And I talk to all kinds of comics, like all of them, many of them on here. So Joel and Doc have been interviewed by me. Their podcasts aren't out yet, but they will be. So that's Behind the Bits podcast. You can follow me on Behind the Bits podcast on Facebook, Behind the Bits podcast on Instagram, and the BTB PC on Twitter. There you go.
Awesome.
I did have a medical professional tell me that plasma donations are going at a premium right now, and just donating blood is going at a premium right now. So if you're wanting to fill those wallets up and you really need to, I know some of the folks listening maybe need to, that's something to check into. You can make some quick cash that way, and that's cash right in your pocket. I keep switching.
Most places actually give you a card, Scott. It's a card.
I'm sorry?
It's a card generally, not to be pedantic. It's a card, not cash.
Yeah. It gets,
just, you know,
it gets,
like a debit card.
Yeah.
You got to claim it on your taxes.
You got to make $600 for that, though, don't you?
It's a donation. You don't have to. I'm donating my blood.
Hell if I know, man. These are uncertain times for me, man. What else can I donate from my body?
That's right.
Why don't you donate your kids'
selling
blood?
my body.
Yeah. You know, if I can sell parts of my body without being touched by somebody else all that much, I'm down with that. That sounds like a good operation for me.
Now we've talked a little bit at the beginning about some positive things that we've seen come across. Has anybody else seen anything that will uplift everybody's hearts because you're a comic and somebody did something nice for you?
No, not me.
Oh, wow.
I was trying to do something nice for Nashville.
That's a tough gig over there.
You're trying.
Yeah. I went to got barbecue.
Wow, this is
today.
a tough room for nice stuff. Isn't
No, my God. Yeah, I'm racking my brain to be like, has anyone been aside from venue owners and stuff like that, like has anybody been that kind all of a sudden right now?
I was kind. I drove 6 hours to West Virginia for 19 people. It was 14 teeth.
Jeez, who books that?
I think he had the coronavirus now.
I'm pretty sure West Virginia has 0 cases of coronavirus.
Zero cases. Heather, they have 0 cases, and each one of them made sure that they came up and hugged me and shook my hand to let me know it.
Oh.
I bet they did.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the only nice thing I've done is traveled.
Yeah, I think this is a nice thing, Scott. I mean, this is the first attempt I've seen for people to start putting their heads together. So it's, you don't move mountains overnight, but I think this is a big step in the direction of people starting to become more proactive in dealing with this circumstance.
Thanks, Joel. That's all I need for my ego. It's big enough.
I agree with that, though. And I have seen, I know that, I had something that just recently came out on Amazon Prime, and a lot of comedians here in the area, they shared it. And, that's the best you can do, really, is encourage people to consume some of your friends' content in any other form.
Yeah.
So I got a huge boost in shares when my Amazon thing popped the other day. And as a result, I was sharing some of my comedian friends that they, the ones that had performed at my club and we recorded at the club. I shared that stuff for them. So I tried to do that. Now, I've seen that happen in the last few days, a lot of sharing of some stuff that I've got going on and vice versa.
Yeah, I had a fan of mine that ended up buying my album for way more money than it's worth, way more money than I'm worth as like a human being. But that was kind of cool, which every so often somebody will it's like I try to sell my stuff for a reasonable amount. It's like $10 for a CD or something. And when people pay like $40 or $50 for it, it's like, that's very nice of you. You totally did not have to do that. And I think like that might be what ends up happening with this is, you see some people that have the means to do it, and they kind of donate to help people in the service industry or people in the arts that they believe in. So hopefully this is a start of it. It seems like this is going to be the start of like myself personally. I want to try to collect as many links. Like Jim's specials is one of the things that I remember seeing, and I have a theater that I perform at every year in Lansing, and just share those things out to be like, hey, support these people, and there's a couple other people that I know are doing that on their on their social media feeds and through their email lists and stuff like that. So that's a big way to help. Is just if you can't do it monetarily, then tell other people about it. Because you might know one person that's still making like $100,000 a year and is fine and comfortable, and they might be able to bail some folks out.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that the absence of being able to go out and see the arts is going to create a new appreciation for creatives and the art that they do?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I probably.
I think
I certainly hope so.
People take it for. I think they take it for granted sometimes. Even like the movies, like people are shutting down the movie theaters, and you don't think it's a big deal till you don't have it anymore. And so I think I hope they do.
So this may create some huge demand after it's all over.
Hope so.
Yeah,
I just think stand-up comedy is the best thing ever.
Hear, hear.
I always have ever since I was a kid. It's a different medium, and when seeing it live and performing it live, and it's just there are people who when the club opened up here in Hanover, they'd never been to a comedy show, and I got people asking me if I sell season tickets. So it's an addictive form of performance that I think in a lot of ways we're fortunate that we're part of it, but it just sucks right now because so much of what we do relies on reps. So it just sucks, man. This is a cool thing.
Spend time with your kids, which sucks.
I know. Well, it's been kind of cool. Like I've actually learned some valuable information about like who they are as people in the last 24 hours. So I'm really excited to.
I am not happy.
Did you find out which of your worst traits they got?
Yeah. Well, my wife has already told me all about that. I like my kids. Chris, testify for me.
No,
man.
they're cool. They're cool.
I think Chris is lying.
Kids,
Yeah.
No,
what are your kids' names? Do you know their names? Quick.
Nah, man, I ain't saying that on Facebook, man. Times are tough. Somebody might want to snatch up a white kid and sell him.
That's why Scott started this. We see now, Scott. Ring up there.
Hey, Scott, listen, I don't want to, I just want to butt in, but I have to take off. I actually got to start getting ready for my show in a little bit. But listen, guys.
You're bragging you got a show?
Brag, yeah.
Yeah, I got a show. I do my own. I got my Johnny Watson show tonight.
Johnny
Watson, the Johnny Watson show. Yeah. And
Johnny Watson show.
And we do a thing called the Comedy Corner on that. Just let you know, we're trying to feature, our friends or comics and bits. So please, let's all stay in touch, and love to get you guys on the show and send some stuff out so I can, broadcast you guys as well and promote everybody. And like Joel was saying, and everybody else has been saying, let's let's stay together and do something together. And anything I can do to help out, please feel free to hit me up. I'm real easy to get a hold of and would love to help out. So I appreciate you guys having me on there, man.
Hey,
and,
Johnny, thank you for being on.
you.
And please, you've got my email. Please send me
Absolutely.
all the links that you want me to promote for you. I'll put everything in the show notes when I put this up.
I will. And keep up the good work, Scott. Thank you, everybody.
Johnny. Thanks, Johnny.
Hey, take care, man. It's nice to meet you.
Go hug your kids.
I know. I'm actually going to dip out of here right now too. So I want to thank all you guys for inviting me and everything. Yeah. And by all means, let's connect. If we're not already connected, I'd love to connect with you guys. And just keep trying to keep all of our names in the consciousness, because this will end, what I mean? Like, it's going to be all right.
And Jim genuinely runs one of like the best clubs around. Like it's always Chris. A really, really fun time to, no, seriously. I mean, everything that Jim is doing and his team's doing is it's good because they give a shit. And there's so many venues that just don't, where I show up and they're like, what are you doing here? Jim takes care of the comics and he really cares about what's going on that stage. So Church of Satire is amazing. I
appreciate that, guys. All right. Well, hey, listen, everybody take care, stay safe, stay inside, and for God's sake, follow science, follow science.
Hail science.
Thanks, Jim.
Take it easy.
That's Church of Satire. Check that out. Jim Bryan is all about that.
To kind of piggyback off of what Jim was talking about, though, I do think that this art form is, it took me a long time to just accept that there is the stand up is an art form, and I think this art form is really the thing that's like meant for people. Like this connects with just regular average people more than any other art form does. Mm-hmm. It's the art form that's the most accessible to people, and on whatever level, people kind of give me a lot of flack because of the type of comedy I do. But I think even if you're going on stage and talking about the minutia of real life, that connects with people. But if you're also talking about the sociopolitical aspect of it, or the philosophy of life, some bigger stuff, that also connects with regular people, because it's all this stuff is stuff that we have to think about in everyday life. So, and there is something to watching comedy live. The excitement of like, you never know what is going to happen either with the comedian on stage, of not being able to predict what they're about to say next, or what the next topic is going to be. And it's exciting for comedians, and tell me if I'm wrong, but not knowing what the audience is going to be like, whether they're going to like you or not like you. I even people that regularly come out to see me, I'm like, I don't know if you're going to like what I have to say this time, but maybe you hate it. But that's kind of the exciting thing about watching live comedy. Why I think it is such a unique thing that people are going to connect with, and hopefully, I do think that people are going to get hungry for it. I do think people are going to get hungry for some kind of live entertainment.
I think it's going to be pretty quick too.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen tomorrow, probably.
It very well could. I mean, there's only so long you can be locked up with each other.
Right. Yeah.
I would be interested to hear from Heather's point of view, being a club owner. Like, we're looking at it from the talent point of view, but what about from like the booker point of view?
I guess for us, because we don't own our building, we are in a little bit of a better circumstance than some club owners. For example, right now, we're mostly just trying to cut our costs and save as much as we can, with the hope that when we come back, things will pick up quickly and we'll be able to be bringing in good money. We've had to contact a couple of comics and cancel, which never feels good to do, but we've tried to stay on top of that enough so that it's not a last minute cancellation, and we're staying in alignment with all of the recommendations. I mean, it's essentially all we can do, but if we owned the building that we were in, I think I would be a lot more scared right now, a lot more worried about the future of our business. For us, I feel like we'll be able to overcome this, but I worry about our other clubs where that might not be as easy to do.
Well, then I kind of see opportunity there too, because when the doors do open back up for all sorts of venues, they're going to need entertainment, whether it's music, comedy, or otherwise. So this is a prime opportunity for other comics to step up in their producing game as well and take advantage of that situation.
Absolutely. And it will give us time to, booking can be stressful for club owners. I don't handle the booking side of things primarily. I do like the guest spot lineups with my managers and everything, but my partner does book the headliners and features, and that can become overwhelming with submissions. So I think this will give us a little bit of downtime to be able to look at those submissions a little closer and plan for, our future shows and booking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that is a good point in terms of we're thinking about how can we get paid now, but it's also like how can we prepare ourselves for when the pendulum does swing back up. How can we prepare ourselves to be as ready as possible, whether that is starting that podcast you wanted or organizing the business side or really starting to create a game plan for the rest of the year. It sounds like a good opportunity to really get organized to strike when the iron is hot, when everyone is wanting more comedy. It's like, how can I strategize myself to be in the best position to take advantage of that?
Absolutely. And I think that's on the side of both comics and club owners right now. I think about you, Joel, with opportunities for teaching comedy classes and, ways that you've thought outside of the box already. I think those are opportunities for our current comics and potentially club owners. As a also newer comic, I look at what can I do for the female comic industry as far as what I learned becoming a business owner with no business background. So some of those things, even though I'm not going to be stressed financially as much as somebody who's doing comedy full time, there are ways that I might be able to reach out to the comedy world and make an impact right now.
Well, let me ask you, Heather, when you started and versus what you know now, what would you have done different looking back?
As a club owner or comic or both?
As a owner.
I'm not sure. The piece that is still elusive to me is the marketing and obviously getting butts in seats. I think that being somebody who has zero business background, I've done pretty well. My partner has a little bit more knowledge on the business side of things. I think we've been pretty smart, but getting people to shows is the biggest thing. We are in South Bend, so Notre Dame football season, we take a huge hit. We pick up starting in, January through June, and then we have a lull in the summer. So that for me would be, marketing, advertising, getting people in, I need more help with.
Makes sense.
Hey, we've got between 20 and 40 people watching this tonight. So
that's awesome.
That's a positive.
Yeah, for sure.
They probably tuned in to listen to all of our conspiracy theories, and now they're sadly disappointed that everybody's so well-reasoned and optimistic.
I did want to expand on what Chris was talking about a little bit. The one thing that surprised me was I saw a whole lot of fundraiser stuff coming out and ideas coming around for musicians, and I didn't see a whole lot for stand-ups, and that's possibly because I'm in a small market here. But I did, as I said earlier, there was a marketing firm, Vala Marketing here in South Bend and Elkhart, is talking about doing a tip jar type thing, and he was asking for musicians, and I did mention comics, and he said, yeah, bring the comics on. So if you see something for musicians, then always tag the comics on there too, because I think you can probably get on that and get a little piece of that action.
For sure.
And there is a Facebook group that was started. It's in that link that on my post asking people to post their merch links and their links to their albums. But there is a Facebook page dedicated specifically to comics being able to share their information on their albums and their merchandise. So I will share that again for you guys to check out.
Okay.
Have any of you guys seen the virtual reality open mics at all?
Yeah.
Well, there's one guy that came to the open mic. He'd never done comedy before. He's like, "Oh, well, I've done virtual reality open mics." And I'm like, "What?" That might be an interesting thing to get into right now if we see it turning into something long term.
Max, you're in charge of that. If you could please organize that for the Drop Comedy Club, Ryan can help you.
I will ruin everything.
That's the first thing he said.
Well, that's the other thing that's important for comics is to be able to say stuff out loud and say it in front of people. I mean, we're going to be writing all this new stuff, and we don't know if it's going to hit or not until we say it out loud. So, if you can get into something virtual like that, then obviously that's a good thing.
I have a friend who's been hosting a Zoom open mic for a year or so.
Wow.
And yeah, now it seems like a genius move.
Yeah.
Right.
Chad, right, has been doing that for a while. I think I remember him starting that. And I mean, when he started, I was just like, I don't know how this is going to work. Seems kind of weird. But I think it's going really, really well. It seems like it's succeeding and kind of getting its own little follow. I'm sure now it'll kind of skyrocket.
Yeah. It'll probably go up. Hey, Will, I see you joined. How are you?
Hey, I'm late, so I'll just listen for a little bit. I'm good. How are you?
That's all right. Hey, I'm having everybody introduce themselves and say where you're from and what you do, and also how this is how the COVID-19 has affected you so far.
My name's Will Brand, and I'm a musician in Arkansas. I've got like 4 gigs a week playing for the rest of the year. So I'm really rooting for 2 weeks. Let's go 2 weeks. I didn't mess anything up. Yeah, and right now I'm getting stuff off because I've got I'm working on my streaming setup.
Oh,
because I'm gonna be a cam girl now.
Yeah.
That's what I got. Yeah.
So do you have things planned to do some live streaming?
Yeah, I already, that already was kind of the plan because it's just sort of smart to do, I guess. But this morning I woke up and realized that was the only option of what to do today. So,
What's your plan with that? How are you going to use live streaming?
Well, so I've sort of resisted doing everything, like following every single thing you're supposed to do as far as social media strategy for the last 10 years. And so some things I've not wasted my time with and other things I've not done. And so, for example, that like I've got a bunch of friends on Facebook, but I haven't cashed in on sending them to a business page yet. And then Instagram, I feel like my personal profile is my business page. I don't really get how it's different, but it's different. So I was going to do like an hour or like a set on, this is my first idea, on a set on each of them for a while. Maybe like do one on Facebook Live, then one on Instagram Live, and then over the course of a couple of weeks, try to consolidate them to maybe a YouTube channel or something like that. And then it's all kind of coming at the same time for me. I'd always sort of been putting bands together and stuff like that, but I've got this solo loop show that was sort of my day job. That was another reason probably why I was resisting going all in on the social media stuff, because if a band worked out, I wanted to use all the energy I was, cultivating or whatever for that. And then just the last year or so, maybe 8 months, is whenever I've gotten used to the idea or excited about going at it all the way with this Looper solo show. And that's why I hit him up, because it's a lot more of like an MC situation because I'm up there by myself. So that's sort of why I hit him up, because I'd like to do comedy too, but for sure right now, this is what my job will be probably for a long time. I create a lot of comedy stuff with it, and I'm up with a mic for a long time, but and then had the gig, so that's why I butted in here. But anyway, so I'm kind of, this will be sort of the time where I'm obviously forced into making this as legit as possible. And so I'm going to try to give them a bunch of free stuff for a while and then get them all on the email list and hopefully come out of this with something.
Mm-hmm. I think it's funny. I think a lot of us have played around with doing the virtual stuff and have been thinking about it, and now we're thrown into it, and it's going to have to happen. So it's not a good thing, but I think being able to pivot and understand what you need to do to get by, I think it's a good thing to understand the survival and also how to keep your name in front of people for when the clubs open back up and we can do stuff.
Yeah. Whenever I was studying, started studying how to be an independent musician, it was basically, it says make a lot of content, and then Andrew Schultz is the comedian that killed it on YouTube, right? With just having a whole bunch of content.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like that's the thing to do for me, at least dealing with people. I have a hard time keeping a band together too. So maybe it's just, I can blame it on living on a small town or whatever, but I have a hard time collaborating with anybody that, I don't know how. I think the best way to say it is as sure that this is the only way they're going to be able to make a living as I am. So there's, and it seems like the thing that people have when they're successful with it is a bunch of structure. Because, I never discover anybody until they're pretty big on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
So I think if I knew for sure, like whatever setup I can work out and I can know that in a year I'll still be doing it no matter what, that would be what I would go with as far as maybe the most important thing. I say it's in like 7 episodes. Everybody's the average. Everybody quits 7 episodes, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
7's it. Yep.
I believe it. You're sitting here with my mom. You guys will know more than most people know about me. I have the privilege of taking care of my lovely mom. She takes care of me too. But anyway, we live together. So we're quarantined together. And she's got the ex-educator, and she's got lots of stories. I got her writing a book on all her stuff, and she could do great with a podcast. Hers is geared towards baby boomers, and a little bit before the OK Boomer thing blew up. But she's just, nostalgic like that and kind of puts teacher stuff into it. And then we try to laugh a lot. But it was still, we didn't make it to 7. So, we're going to try again. But that first run, something came up or whatever.
Well, we know Scott would listen.
Scott the baby boomer.
I don't know anything about boomers.
About how many people we have here while I'm picking up all the attention. How many people we have on here? About 6 people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, including me. I can do that. Cool. Okay, I'm also learning about Zoom. I just did the thing. Okay, cool. Nice to meet everybody. Hey, there's everybody. Okay. Hey. This was just like college. I'm just now old enough to realize I was the dumbass. So, here we go. Hey, I like that one. There we go.
This is just like college, except for everybody has their clothes on. Everything's cool.
Shit, everybody had clothes on my college. We didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Hey, Joel, I wanted to ask you. So you recently put out your special, The Trophy Husband. What are you doing to get sales of that going so that you can get an income stream from that?
Well, it's been out about a month now, so a lot of the marketing has been done via word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm starting to do kind of like Andrew Schultz does in terms of just posting small clips and just creating a bunch of micro content around the special. So that's the next step of the marketing now that a lot of the momentum from the pre-sale and the release is kind of, I can see it starting to taper.
Mm-hmm.
I need to start giving that attention again because I kind of started spinning that ball and then I came back over to my podcast and try to spin that one again because I'm really looking to up my YouTube footprint, especially with the podcast. So I've been giving that a lot of attention. So I need to steer back to the special as well. But the plan, as we all have ideas as comedians, but I mean, the plan is to really just start posting various clips from it and really posting a lot of the special online just to make people aware of it and then drive them to actually purchase it. And everywhere I go, I was just at a wedding this past weekend. I told everyone, pulled it up on my phone and was like, here, I'll pull it up on your phone. So, I mean, it's shameless plugging wherever I go, doing podcasts like yours, the interview we did. But it's all, the most useful marketing has been word of mouth right now.
I know as far as social media is concerned, you absolutely cannot mention your stuff enough. You have to say it thousands of times for some people to see it. And it's, I mean, it's exhausting for me. I can't do it. But as far as social media is concerned, if you can get somebody to manage it for you, somebody needs to talk about you like every hour of the day so that everybody can see it.
It's exhausting to do it. It's completely exhausting to do it. I manage my own social media and my podcast. So I have like 2 different ones, but then there's Twitter and Instagram. There's a bunch of alternative ones. Some of the stuff that I talk about isn't particularly Facebook's favorite topic of conversation. So you have to look at like some alternative ways of getting it out there. So, it is completely exhausting. And if you can find somebody that knows what they're doing, can help you get the word out, that would be pretty awesome and would free up a few hours of more than just a few hours of my week. But that's sort of the perils of being an independent artist is I always say, like, whenever I'm trying to pitch people to try to like, hey, become a sustaining member on this thing or whatever, is like, I'm essentially, when you're just doing it all by yourself, you're doing the job of like 5 or 6 different people. Booking is a full-time job, promoting is a full-time job, creating content is a full-time job, learning how to edit your own audio, your own video, create your own graphics. Like, these are all different people's jobs. Funneling into one human being. And it's exhausting. But the more you kind of do it, like we were talking about reps earlier, is I think that's sort of the thing, is the more you do it, the more kind of autonomic it starts to get. So hopefully with this quarantine is like, that's my goal too, is to kind of balance between how do I plug my merch versus how do I create content that I really care about and I'm proud of, and then tell people about it. Is now that, it doesn't seem like people are going to be booking or really paying attention to what shows I have coming up, because we all have to stay inside and not touch each other. That's going to be the primary focus for me personally, is going down the road of creating as much content as I possibly can and writing far more than I would if I was doing a month-long tour, going from city to city every day. So
yeah, that's a tough one to balance, because creatives are creatives. You want to create, and posting on 5 or 6 different social networks is not creating. That's just sharing stuff. Yeah. But it still takes time. Has anybody had any luck with Reddit at all?
I still don't get what it is.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah. I think if you didn't get
people that know about stuff talk about stuff.
I guess I don't really. Yeah, somebody told me that I need to start posting my stuff on there, but I guess I started doing it wrong, and then I got kicked out of like 4 or 5 groups all in one day, and I was like, I don't understand what's. They told me to put a link up, and that's what I did.
Yep. It's the mods. The mods are nuts. I know that about Reddit. It's totally crazy. I actually found 2 of my guests on Reddit, and one of them actually doesn't do any other social media besides Reddit. So I did find people that way. I haven't found any way to actually talk about like the podcast or anything on there. At least ways that won't get me kicked by a mod.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to only comment. You're supposed to be like a collective voice about whatever you're talking about, and not promote your stuff. Not have like an identity or whatever.
Pretty much. You can have an identity, but it's really actually a pretty negative platform because you upvote and downvote stuff, and it's amazing how quick you can get into the negative downvotes if you say the wrong thing. It's so. Yeah,
you're definitely not going to be successful on Reddit now, Scott.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, nobody knows my username, so it's okay.
It's not Behind the Bits, is it? Because that's going to be a dead giveaway.
No, it's actually my old podcast name, so that's cool.
Bragging about having an old podcast out here.
No one share this on Reddit because those kids will dig up 10 years of your history, Scott.
No doubt.
Then you'll be done. You'll be done.
And those mods are all like probably 12 years old.
That's what I was going to ask. Is it a bunch of kids? Is it mostly young?
It seems like it. At least the maturity level, some of the things I've seen, but I don't know. I've gone down that rabbit hole, and I haven't opened it for probably 2 months now, just because I got pissed off and left. So but I tried. I got kicked out of a couple groups too.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to get kicked out of this group. I actually have to go have dinner with my wife. But I appreciate you doing this, Scott.
Yeah,
I'm a trophy husband. It's available now at joelbyerscomedy.com.
Right. Yeah, Trophy Husband, Joel Byers Comedy, and the Hot Breath Podcast.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
My favorite podcast, except for my own.
Oh, thank you, Scott. Thanks for doing this, man. You've really got my creativity churning, and I'm excited to connect with other comics. I know a few of you, but I'm excited for us to kind of figure this out together. So thanks for starting the conversation.
Right. Thanks for being on, Joel. And I'm probably going to wrap this up too. We've been going for...
Hey, Joel.
Go ahead.
Yes. Joel, Scott told me that my podcast was his favorite, so I won't read too much into it.
I said I liked it.
Oh, my bad.
We all know Scott is the authority on podcasts.
Yeah,
we all know.
For sure.
Well,
Scott, you're really letting people out of here without their hackiest Corona joke?
All right, bye, guys.
Bye, Joel. Yeah, I think we're at a good spot where we can end this. I would like everybody who's involved. I think you've all got my email now. Send me anything that you want promoted on the show notes. I'm gonna put this up as a podcast episode, and I'm also I'm recording it. I'm going to put it up on YouTube as well, on my YouTube channel, and then I'll show you guys. I'll just give you the links back so you guys can share that stuff out too.
Sweet.
Any parting words?
I think this is just the time to take care of each other. It doesn't seem like there's going to be any sort of massive reforms anytime soon for everybody. So not just the artists that have lost gigs and lost a revenue stream or anything, but the service industry and the club owners, the bartenders and all the other working class people that is just help them out any possible way that you can. So if you end up getting an extra $500, maybe kick a little bit of that towards your bartender friend that would have gotten $100 in tips on a random Tuesday. So yeah, I just think this is the time that we all need to come together and just help each other out a little bit more.
That's a great thought. Okay, everybody, this has been a live presentation from Behind the Bits podcast. Behind the Bits podcast can be found on all the podcast platforms. Just type Behind the Bits in the search bar. You can follow us on Behind the Bits podcast on Facebook, Behind the Bits podcast on Instagram, and the BTB PC on Twitter. I think we're done.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. This is great. Scott.
Thanks
Thank you very
everybody
much.
for
Appreciate
getting
it, man.
on.
This was really good.
Hey, don't forget
Yeah.
to send me your stuff. I'll get it on the show notes.
For sure.
Got it.
I'm doing
All right.
comedian spotlights on my page. So if you guys want to send me a link to your stuff, I'll be happy to spotlight you.
Yeah, he's got a lot of followers, so do it.
Well,
Right
not
on.
a
Thank
billion, but yeah. It's good to meet you all.
Right.
Hope to see you down the road.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, go get him.
Easy,
Thanks, guys.
Hi, friends.
Thanks, Scott.
This may click out real quick, so if you lose me, it's okay.
What's up, guys?
Talk to me, Max.
Okay, so I'm from Buchanan, Michigan. I do most of my comedy in South Bend, Indiana. I'm a manager at the Drop Comedy Club. I also produce several shows locally in Michigan and Indiana. And yeah, it sucks. It's been affecting our open mic and whatnot. Do you want me to go on from there, Scott?
Anything you want to add? I mean, we're gonna get in a general discussion here pretty quick, but
Okay, well, yeah, it sucks. So in our area, we only have one open mic a week. So the idea that you're waiting all week for 7 minutes sucks as it is. We have weekly